New Zealand, Australia. What country did I just come back from? You might find out right now, because I'll tell you, I came back from New Zealand. That was where the end of the tour was. We're back, everyone. I was in Australia, but I didn't come back from Australia. I went to Australia, came back from New Zealand.
We've been off for 2 weeks.
I'm a fucking time traveler, man. I left I left New Zealand at like 8 at night and came home at 1 o'clock the same day. Fucking time traveling, man.
Incredible.
What'd you do differently in those hours?
I just slept. I tried to on the plane. The Air New Zealand, very nice, but they have stupid business class beds. I'm not going to whinge about business class on the plane.
Yeah, beds. You just said beds.
Yeah. Meanwhile, every time I travel, my knees are jammed into the seat in front of me. There's always a kid bouncing.
We had to do a flight between like sort of Sydney to Christchurch, and that's just economy seats on that flight. And I said to my son, I said, "Oh, this plane only has economy seats." And my son said, "How will we get there?"
He's never sat in an economy seat.
Oh my God!
You're gonna have to sit upright, buddy.
And then I do what I always do. I just tell him, my mum used to hit me if I left my jumper at school. Do you understand?
How did he like him? How did he like economy?
He's all right. He's traveled economy a few
tiny.
times.
He's like
he
a kid still.
He doesn't give a shit. He's happy on the plane. He's a very good traveler, actually, but that statement did make me laugh.
How are we going to get there?
The tours were good. Everything for the most part. A couple of shows, dicey sort of hecklers and stuff like that. But
what about New Zealand?
New Zealand was killer. The crowds in New Zealand were killer. I have to apologize to the people in New Zealand for all the shitting on them done because of one bad Auckland show. I'll be back again. Thanks, New Zealand.
You did 3 cities there, right?
We did 3 cities. We did Christchurch, Wellington, and Auckland.
Yeah.
And they were all great. The theatre in Christchurch is one of the nicest sort of wraparounds, where there's people sort of sitting behind you and all that stuff. I felt like Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Remember in Copenhagen, they had that great theatre?
Is wraparound the same as the round, or just the seats just go a little
No,
further?
they just sort of go sort of like slightly to the back of your head. You know what I mean? Because it's meant for an orchestra. You know what I mean? So people like to sit in those seats for orchestras. But it was Wellington was great. Auckland, I know it was like the last trip. I was like, please, Auckland, please don't be a pain in the ass. and there was more people than it was twice the size of the last crowd, and so that's harder to control. They were fucking golden. I had a great time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Over 6 weeks, you had almost 74,000 people come to your shows.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It was great. We did 10,000 people in Melbourne on a Monday. And so, but the late show in Melbourne, this is the thing is with crowds. It doesn't matter if it's fucking 50 people or 5,000 people, because we did 2 5,000 shows. On the second one, it was a Monday night, and I think I got on stage about 11 o'clock at night or something.
Wow.
And people were just like, I've got to go to work. They were just tired. And I think I ended the show with go to bed.
Maybe drink a glass of water.
So that was fun. And we I'll tell you something about Christchurch. You can take the piss out of the earthquake. They love it. Yeah. You know, there's certain countries where you you wouldn't mention the other thing that happened there, of course.
Right.
But the earthquake,
it's been a while now, though. It's been almost 10 years.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years. They're ready to laugh about the earthquake. Well, they were ready when we were there 3 years after it. Yeah. 3 years after it, there was holes in the buildings and shit. There was like churches.
The church is still, I'm pretty sure not,
And so I was like, 3 years ago, my joke was like this is a great town. It'll be good when you finish it. All these half-built buildings, you're going to get this done, right? They all have that. But now it's just like, I tell you what, if you want to park a car, it's good, because every third building fell down. So there's just like these lots.
So many parking lots now.
Everyone's got all the parking they need in Christchurch.
It's a really pretty city, though. It's like got little rivers. And
there's a little river that goes through it. I went fishing with Oysters, who's the sound guy. And Oysters, we saw.
His name's Oysters?
His second name's
birth name?
His second name's Kilpatrick. You ever heard of Oysters Kilpatrick?
No.
Rockefeller.
This feels like a setup for a joke.
Wait, Oysters Rockefeller is what?
Yeah, Rockefeller. I think Kilpatrick might be what we call him in the Southern Hemisphere. Oysters Kilpatrick. Or it might even be like a New Zealand thing or something. But like, it's a way of eating oysters. So his nickname's Oysters. I don't know his real name.
Oh. Okay.
It's
Oysters now.
He's one of those sound guys that, like, when you're talking to him, he's just like, he's like, yeah, this sounds good. And then he'll talk about, oh, you know, when I was doing sound for Michael McIntyre, he'll mention other comedians and stuff like this. And then he'll just go, yeah. When I was doing the Eagles, and you're just like, right, this guy actually does proper shows, not just a bloke talking into a microphone. Like, this must be a fucking easy gig for him.
Yeah, just phoning it in.
Yeah. It says that Oysters Kilpatrick, the origin is San Francisco, obviously, but they're more popular down in Australia, I guess. So. But yeah, I always thought of Oyster Rockefeller. It's always named after some fucking rich person.
Just the oil guy.
Yeah. Who's Kilpatrick?
I don't know. Oh, there was a colonel. Colonel John C. Kirkpatrick.
Colonel Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, there you go.
Jack just had a birthday.
Yeah,
Jack had a birthday. Yeah.
He's old now.
You saw my pub in New Zealand.
Yeah, there was a pub called Jack Hackett's.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I got to make the pilgrimage.
There's no women in there.
No, just the way we like it.
What city is that in?
That was in Wellington.
Yeah, that's another fun city.
Yeah, Wellington.
I like New Zealand. I know Jim had a better trip.
We went to Wellington last time. It was nice weather, but like when we went this time, it was cold, and so it's a little bayside. You know, it's got a little harbor and everything.
When you land, it's always rough, right?
Oh yeah.
You come in and it's like just a wind tunnel, and you fly right over these rocks, and this be's like, you're like, you're gonna die, and then you're like, hey, we're there.
Yeah, they should blink on the seatbelt light all the time. Yeah. So no, it was good. Australia was built. I spent some time in Perth and some time in Sydney a lot, and then flew to the different cities and saw some old friends. And I made some new friends. I had some opening acts for me that Amos suggested who were very good.
Oh, nice.
You know,
how's the bowling club?
The bowling club was belter. I'll tell you a quick little story about the bowling club. So I did the bowling club, the Taramara Bowling Club, which is my father's bowling club. I think they squeezed 170 people in there. So we get there, and on the rider, and I didn't select this rider, but like a meat platter. There was a meat platter in every dressing room. Andrew Taylor.
Oh, so they said you requested a meat platter even though you didn't request.
I always like a bit of pineapple juice because I feel it settles my voice down, and I also am a big fan of pineapple juice. And I get pineapple juice, and I get Red Bulls, and I get a few beers in there, and I started drinking the non-alcoholic beers. So I had some Heineken Zeros in there, and all that type of stuff. And then the meat platter is just for everyone who comes backstage, so they can pick up something. There's cheese on there and crackers and meat and all that type of stuff. Although Amos sent me a text the other day that said that meat platters, there is a link to them in cancer.
Charcuterie.
Yeah, charcuterie platters.
Sure. I saw him put that on Instagram.
Charcuterie platters.
It's like the processed meats, nitrates.
Everything is going to give you cancer.
I know, but if you have it for 30 shows in a row over 30 nights, it could catch up with you. Anyway, so we had these meat platters and that type of stuff. So I go to the bowling club, and the bowling club is just all my dad's mates and all that type of stuff, and just the old blokes. Like my dad's one of the younger ones at 80, right? Wow. So just all these old fellas like this, right? And so they've cleaned out a small room to the side. It's all right. It was a storage closet-y type thing, no window or anything, but there's a little door onto the stage, and they've kept things in there and stuff like that. But like it was, 8 feet by 6 feet. It was a little tiny
big storage closet.
Yeah, it was big. It was like a little room, right? And I wasn't going to sit there for the show takes 2.5 hours, 3 hours, right? I wasn't going to sit back there the whole time, I'd be fucking bored out of me skull, right? So I'm standing at the back. I'm with my brother, my dad, my wife's there, a few of my dad's mates that I know are there. Some people I went to high school are there, So I'm chatting to people up the back of the room, and I'm not using the room. And this old bloke, he would have been, 90 or something like that, and he's just staring at me. And he's getting angrier and angrier, right? Now, mind you, I'm doing this gig for free at the bowling club. I'm giving all the money back to the bowling club. I'm not taking a single cent. I raised them about 20 grand for them to spend on whatever shit they want to spend it on. I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
And this old bloke walks up to me and goes, "You listen here. We went to a lot of trouble to clear that room out for you. There's a meat platter in there. There's your Red Bulls. We don't even sell fucking Red Bull here. I had to go out and get that. And you haven't touched any of it."
I don't even know what a Red Bull is.
Yeah. And he goes, "And you haven't touched any of it." I've been there for about 30 minutes, right? And the show wasn't starting for another 30. And I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, it's, It's a long show. We'll get to it. And then I went to the other comics and said, fucking please eat some of this meat or I'm going to be in fucking trouble. By the end, it was all gone. But the fact that he went, I went to a lot of trouble.
I went to the grocery store.
This fucking guy's going to come down, a big fucking superstar, is he? He's going to sit there and not drink his fucking Red Bulls, the little Miss Princess who asked for special drinks.
You get on stage, you're 10 Red Bulls in.
That's the story he'll tell from then on. Yeah, it'll be like, let me tell you something about him.
And then another old bloke came up to me and said, don't worry about him. He's a cunt. So anyway, so Amos goes on stage and my father's sitting next to my wife and Amos goes on stage and starts doing his stuff and he's talking about porn and he goes, you know when you're on Pornhub like this, my father's sitting next to my wife and he pulls a bit of paper out of his top pocket and he pulls a pen out and he writes down Pornhub. And he puts the bit of paper back in his pocket. Just
where the Brad Pitt picture is.
Yeah, next to the Brad Pitt picture.
Yeah, he always has a little piece of paper that writes stuff. I remember in San Diego when I was walking him back to the hotel because he wasn't going to stay for the second show. He was writing down information. That's his phone. Yeah,
he's a bit of paper. He writes
a smartphone. Smartpad. Yeah.
And so he writes down Pornhub.
Not .com.
He won't know about .com. He's far
I went
away
through all
from that.
the extensions .net, .org.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Whether he gets to a search engine, because he can't find texts.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'll be able to get to the. This is the thing is my baby. So I got this little room, video game room in my house, type of thing, right? And my baby crawled in there and turned the PlayStation on, right? Lifted the controller out of its charger, and then all I hear is ding, PlayStation thing. I go, fuck, where's the baby? He's gone in and turned the PlayStation on, right?
Protege.
And I thought to myself, you could lock my dad in that room for 18 years and tell him to turn the PlayStation on and he'd never figure out what the PlayStation is, where the fucking controller is. I flew.
I don't even know what it is.
And
That's where the end.
Yeah, and the baby can do it, right? My dad, I once flew him out here business class and he wouldn't recline to a flatbed because he didn't know what the buttons meant. The buttons that just have the logos of flat and straighten up.
Yeah, it's a dude in a chair.
Yeah. He didn't want to touch the electronic buttons and he was too proud to ask the waitress, the air stewardess. So he fucking sat upright and I spent, 10 grand on a fucking flight and the cunt didn't lay down.
You got the meal.
Yeah, it's like, I'll send him again. Your 80-year-old dad, you want him to be comfortable. No, I was fine. A lovely seat. I sat up there and did you watch a movie? No, I didn't know how to turn that on. No.
So he just stared at the screen?
He just through the safety
read
guide.
a book or something. I don't know.
Probably read. Yeah.
He did something.
Well, you got some dates coming up, right?
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maui and Honolulu.
August 5th, Maui at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center, and
Yeah.
August 6th in Honolulu at the Hawaii Theater Center. And then you're in Vegas after that, August 12th and 13th at the Mirage. And then August 26th and 27th, you'll be in Tucson on the 26th.
All I've got is fun things coming up.
Rancho Mirage and Agua Caliente.
I got a couple of other fun things coming up that I won't tell you about, but just a couple of fun things, not money makers, but fun little things I'm doing.
And we have some stuff for the podcast, right? Merch.
Yeah, so it's been up for a while, but we haven't been able to show it. So we've got the Poo on a Stick tour shirt.
I love that. Who animated? That's lovely animation.
Yeah,
whenever they animate me, they always give me a full head of hair.
What's on the back, Jack?
And then back is some tour dates, but they are
made up.
Well, I think
actually
think they might be real.
Yes,
They're all real places.
Yeah.
Just you don't tour there.
But they're all pooey.
And then why don't you show the April 18th shirt?
They're all poo related.
Good job.
Poo on a Stick tour. For those that don't remember,
yeah, but
that's
now,
what Jim wanted to call his tour was Poo on a Stick, and then
no one
wasn't
would
able to. But now you can get the shirt for the tour.
I drew the April 18th logo in my car at a red light. It came to me, and I was like, "What if we do this?" And then they made it a lot better. So good job, graphic team.
Yeah.
And
you can get those at idontknowaboutthat.com. Patreon. What is it? Patreon.com/IDCat.
Sounds good to
I don't
me.
know. It's been 6 weeks. I don't even remember how to talk. And then follow us on Instagram at IDCat Podcast or follow each of us.
Yeah. And I have a new podcast. So listen to this podcast. Go to our Patreon. And it's called the Merman Podcast. I'm doing a podcast with Dave Williamson. He was on our barbecue show. We've been friends a long time. And so we're just going to have a podcast where we talk a lot about water and being in the water, being watermen. So that's the Merman thing. And the Miami shit and stuff like that. But it's fun. He's a comedian. He's funny. I'm doing, and that starts on the 25th. So just fucking download that. Don't listen to it. I don't care. Download it. Just let it come out.
Good self-promotion.
Yeah, just fucking follow it.
We could have done all this on the Patreon.
Yeah, well.
Oh, not the plugs, but the wonderful Pornhub story.
There's more. I'm sure
there'll be. We
haven't seen each other in 6 weeks.
We have more tales of the road on the Patreon.
There's for sure some other stuff. All right, let's do some ads.
Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Life can be overwhelming and many people are burned out without even knowing it. Just got back from 6 weeks tour and I'm reading better than ever, but I'm a little burned out myself. Symptoms can include lack of motivation, irritability, fatigue, and more. We associate burnout with work, but that's not the only cause because Jack gets burnout.
Yep.
Well, Jack doesn't work?
Not hard.
Oh, okay.
I'm stirring you up. You're very good, Jack. I love you.
Thanks.
What was I talking about? So Jack's depressed.
Yeah.
BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking with someone can help you figure out what's causing the real stress in your life. Now, I talk to therapists. I sometimes have problems. I get obsessed in my head with issues and I can't get past them. I just can't get past them. And I find going to therapy helps me clear the space there a little bit. And so I can get on with me life.
I need to go to therapy more.
Yeah, my depression came back full force. So therapies.
Was it because I was away?
Yeah, I missed you guys.
Yeah, it's because I was away. And I was depressed because I was away from you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
No, I was looking past you at Louise. BetterHelp is customized online therapy. It has online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with you. Therapists, so you don't have to be seeing anyone on camera if you don't want to. You can just do it on the phone. If you're like a person that's like, oh, I haven't done my hair very good. And that might be one of the things that you stew on. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our listeners get 10% off the first month at betterhelp.com/IDK. That's betterhelp.com/IDK. Today's episode is sponsored by Honey. Thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupons is a thing of the past. Honey is a free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies them and finds the best one to your cart. Honey supports over 30,000 online stores. So whatever you're looking to buy, don't pay full price. Check Honey first. How it works, right? The process is extremely simple. Imagine you're shopping for on one of your favorite sites. Everyone imagine that in your cars. Okay. Close your eyes, even if you're driving. You won't have the right effect. Don't do that. When you check out, the Honey button drops down and all you have to do is click apply coupons. Also, not while you're driving. Wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. If Honey finds a working coupon, you will watch the prices drop.
I just got like $100 off of something I bought the other day.
Dang.
Pretty exciting.
Wow. So you must have bought something for like $1,000 to get $100 off.
No, it was I think it was like 400 originally.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's huge.
But
that's very good.
And because now it comes on your phone. So I never shop on my computer. I only shop on my phone. So now that I have Honey on my phone, I'm really getting the savings.
Wow. All right. So Gigolos, 25% off.
Mm-hmm.
Jiggle. Who even calls them that?
That's what there's a whole TV show called
Gigolo.
Good show.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to buy the DVDs of Gigolos, probably use
Honey code. Yeah.
Honey would have a code for that.
Juggalos. I'm sorry.
You can add Honey to your iPhone too. Just enable it on Safari and you'll find savings on the go.
What about your iPhone 13?
Yeah, if it's got Safari, yeah.
You said iPhone 2.
Yeah.
That's
if you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. I never recommend something I don't use. Get honey for free at joinhoney.com/IDK. That's joinhoney.com/IDK.
Please welcome our guest, Vinayak Agarwal.
Welcome, mate. Now it's time to play.
Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Judging a book by its cover.
All right, Vin has the most. There's nothing I can tell from this room.
Well,
there's nothing.
I'll give you a hint later, but you can ask some questions, yes or no questions.
All right, so are you a doctor?
Well,
if you have to think about it, probably not.
Yeah.
Every day I always think about that. Am I a doctor?
He has a senior PhD candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying.
He will be soon.
Okay, so you're not a doctor yet.
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so so it's something academic. Does it involve medicine? What we're going to talk to?
No.
Right. Okay. Does it involve something that philosophy?
No.
Okay. Well, actually, you made a comment and you said, "Wow, I can't tell anything from the background," but he is actually sitting somewhere that is a hint to what we're going to talk about. And if
jail.
Well, the podcast studio.
Sort of, not really, not a podcast studio, but
sound booth.
Well, yeah, this is a sound booth, yes.
Yeah, okay. So
a sound booth.
We're talking about voiceovers.
No, getting closer.
All right, you give me a hint.
Yeah, harder.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're talking about everything that has to do with podcasting, voiceovers, things like that.
Sound.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, sound.
We're talking about hearing and sound today.
All right. I hear you. All right, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So
there's a little hammer that beats on a drum in your ear.
Vinayak, or Vin Agarwal, is a senior PhD candidate at MIT who studies acoustics and auditory perception at the Laboratory of Computational Audition. His research aims at understanding how physical generative processes assist humans and artificial agents in making rich inferences about the world using sound. In simpler terms, he studies how humans reverse engineer the world using the sounds they hear.
You mock me when I do ad reads.
Why? I just read that perfectly. Vin is also a semi-professional Indian classical musician and plays the Mohan Veena. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, that's correct.
And he has performed and lectured on Indian music and Gurukul tradition around the world. You can find him on Twitter at Vin_Agarwal. That's EJE.
That's A.
It is. Yeah. Got long COVID. All right.
We haven't done this in a while.
You can find him on Twitter at Vin Agarwal, Vin_Agarwal. It's VIN_AGARWAL. On Instagram at Vinayak.Agarwal. That's VINAYAK.Agarwal. And his website is Vinayak-Agarwal.com.
Jim, you've totally redeemed yourself on your ad reads. He thought A was E.
Yeah.
All right. You guys are
Ferris, do you want to buy a vowel?
Anyways, Jim's a good reader. Vin, can you tell us just a little bit about like how you got into this field and how you became an expert in this?
Yeah, so essentially, it's like the story for most of the people in this field. Like they like music from their childhood, and like if you start getting interested in science as you're also trying to do music, you always have this thought: why not study the science of music, or like science of how sound is produced? And that was my story. Like I was going into engineering, like any other South Asian, but I'm like, I have to do something related to music. So I studied mechanical engineering, and then I did research on acoustics. I also did like underwater acoustics, like sensing fish shoals in the Nordic seas. And I'm like, no, that's not for me. I want to know how the human brain learns about the world using sound. Like we have just 2 microphones, and like we can process so much more than any Alexa, any Siri, any other artificial agent. So I was like, wow, let's just do this.
Okay. So I'm going to ask Jim a series of questions about hearing and sound and things related to that. And at the end of those questions, when he's answered them, you're going to grade him on accuracy, 0 through 10, 10 being the best. I'm going to grade him on confidence. I mean, Kelly's going to grade him on confidence. I can't do this anymore. And we haven't done a podcast in a while. So Kelly's going to grade him on confidence. I'm going to grade him, et cetera. We'll add them all together. And if you score 21 through 30, You don't have to yell. I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
11 through 20, stop mumbling. And 0 through 10, what? Okay. There we go. Like that. Jim, what is hearing? How does it work?
Like, what do you mean? How does it work? Do you want me to tell you how the eardrum works? Or do you want me just to go?
In general, yeah. That's what this podcast
Hearing comes through your ears. When there's sounds, the ear, they're on the side of your head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Your head.
Yeah.
You have two of them.
2 ears. Yeah.
They are shaped in a sort of shape that will capture the sound. So it won't just whiz by you. And it'll scoop by all those little tunnels. It'll go in through the ear canal. Right, whereupon there'll be a drum, the ear drum, and there'll be other little bones. There'll be like a little hammer thing that makes a noise on the drum to replicate the
it
noise.
Goes bong, 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 like that.
Yeah, it goes bong, bong, bong. And then it comes in, and then you process it in your mind. It all happens just as quick as you could think, right?
Okay.
And that's how you hear. And babies can do it, so it must be pretty easy. It's right. It's right up there with breathing is easy.
Okay, how about this? What is sound?
Sound is the opposite of silence.
Okay.
Silence is the canvas which sound is drawn on.
Well, how is sound
that was
produced?
beautiful.
How is sound produced?
Sound is produced by, I'll go through all the sounds. Walking is from your shoes hitting the floor and making a clip-clopping noise.
Are you going to do all of them in the world?
Yeah.
Wow.
This
It's
noise,
taking a while.
I did that with my teeth. But
right,
it's normally made for things banging into each other. That's the way the sound is. Like everything touching something. Anytime something touches another thing, it makes a sound.
Okay. How does a guitar produce sound?
A guitar produces sound by you strumming a chord, a string. The string vibrates. The vibration of the sound makes a plucking noise, and the plucking noise goes to you. And then to make chords, you shorten the string to make a higher pitch sound, and you lengthen the string to make a longer thing.
And what's producing the sound in the guitar?
Vibration.
Okay, vibrations. That's a good one. What is pitch?
Pitch is the height of the sound, but then that's sort of a difficult one. So you can say something's at a high pitch or something's at a low pitch. So a high pitch is the frequency up high where you're hearing higher sounds. But then you'll have people who say they're pitch perfect, which really means that you can stay in tune and you can pick where a note, a perfect fifth would be learning a different pitch. So da-da-da-dun, dun, da-da-da-dun, dun. So that's 1, 5, like that. So that's different pitches.
Okay. How fast does sound travel?
At the speed of sound.
Oh, how fast?
And so you can break the sound barrier. So the sound barrier is like light shits on it. Like if you're at the Olympics and light and sound are having a race, light wins.
Yeah.
Light wins. Light wins the gold medal each time.
What about sound where it gets silver?
Sound beats several other things like walking. And sound like if cars in the race beats car.
Yeah. How fast do you think it is though?
I reckon so cars can't break the sound barrier. Maybe on land speed. I don't think they do break the sound barrier. Cars can go, I would say 1,500 miles an hour.
What is a wavelength?
A wavelength is when it goes. How
do I write that in the notes?
What about a frequency?
I used to sell car audio. I should know all of this.
So the wavelength goes wah, wah, wah. What does the frequency do?
It's how frequent the wavelength is.
And what is infrasound?
It's like when you bring people to a party and you're like, "Are you in for this?"
Wow. Okay.
It's like being in for drugs.
What frequency do humans hear in? How's this compared to other animals?
So we can't. Okay, so humans.
There's a range.
Yeah, so humans hear within a small frequency, and it gets worse as you get older. The frequency.
You know the numbers though.
No, I don't know the exact numbers, but it gets worse as you get older. So, like out the front of shops in like Britain and stuff, they play like a high pitched noise, so the teenagers won't hang out the front.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Really?
they go, so the teenagers won't sit there, but us old cunts, we just walk in like this, no problem.
Wow.
And then if you want to act like you're young, you go, oh, that noise is irritating. Oh, my ears. But yeah, so dogs hear at a much higher frequency. That's why the dog whistles work, and they work on them and they don't work on us. I would suspect I expect we'd be pretty low on the totem pole of in the animal kingdom for frequency of hearing. But
okay, take off one of your headphones and just point to your outer ear. Can you name any of the parts of your ear?
hole.
Okay, hole. Yeah, it's a good one.
That'd be the tunnel. They'd call that the tunnel.
You're pointing to the hole.
Yeah,
I don't know if the camera can see it, but yeah,
the
that's
tunnel.
yeah, that's fine.
Top bit,
Top bit, yeah,
middle bit with psoriasis.
yeah, yeah.
And earlobe with a sebaceous cyst.
Okay. How about finish this? Fill in the blank. The smallest blank are in the middle ear.
The smallest blank are in the middle ear. Oh, the middle ear. The middle ear is where the drum and all that is. Right, the eardrum and the hammer. The smallest bones.
Got that right.
Yeah.
What are ossicles? I think I'm saying that right.
Ossicles. That'd be the little hairs inside the ear canal that stop dust getting in there.
All right. What does the eustachian tube do?
What?
The eustachian tube.
Eustachian tube.
Yeah.
Don't know. Pass.
Cochlea, you know what that is?
Oh, yeah, the cochlea.
Huh.
You can get cochlear implants.
Yeah.
And the cochlea is the hammer that hits the eardrum.
Okay. What are spectrotemporal patterns?
Don't know.
Okay. How does the ear communicate with the brain? Like, how does that work?
Well, see, if you believe that the brain is where we hold all of our thoughts,
Mhm.
and a lot of people do, other people just believe that the brain is a radiator that pumps blood through it and cools it.
Who are these? What is this? I've never heard this before.
You have people have transplants, heart transplants, and then they can speak fucking Spanish for us. So don't fuck with something.
Okay, next question.
So maybe we give the heart too much credit, but it will be the ear would communicate with the brain. Well, they're right next to each other, wouldn't they? Just tap on it.
Hey, what part of the brain processes sounds?
The frontal left lobe.
Okay. Besides hearing, what else do ears do?
They keep your glasses on.
That's it.
Well, that's fucking one good.
Okay.
If you got a bloke who's blind, he's got no nose and no ears. He's got a bad eyesight. He's kind of fucked, man. He's contacts all the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Point.
So they keep your glasses on.
Hold jewelry.
If you got big ones, they help you get teased at school.
Helps you?
Yeah, if that's what you're into. They hold your hair back if you got long hair.
Okay. Can you shut off your ears?
I wish I could. The amount of arguments I would have left.
So never. You can never shut them off.
Nah, your ears are always working, man. You can put noise cancellation earphones on. You can put earplugs in. You can do things that we've manually made, that man made to lessen your hearing, but you can't stop yourself from hearing.
How do your ears stay clean?
That's $1 million question. They're a fucking pain in the neck. I used to use like cotton wool buds, and then they reckon that pushes it further down. Then you put the cone in there, and then you light the fire at the end of it to get the wax out. About once every 2 years, some doctor goes in there and pumps it full of fucking water.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible sound. And then he pulls out what looks like a fucking thing that Garfield's coughed up.
Yeah.
Big fucking clunk.
I like that. Yeah.
And can we all agree that earwax is the worst tasting thing on earth?
You've tasted it?
You've never tasted earwax?
No.
Just put a bit on your tongue.
No.
It's
disgusting.
It is a taste like no other. You've never been curious.
This is.
Okay.
Oh God.
A few more questions here.
Vin knows what I'm talking about. He's worked with ears. Like you've heard this back. Yeah, earwax. Right in, kids.
Vin, have you tasted your earwax?
Well, I'll be honest, as a kid, yes.
Yeah. As a
Wow.
kid, it's a funky ass taste,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, shocker.
Your ears smell.
I assume shit would taste worse. I haven't tasted shit. I assume shit would be taste worse, but
The
earwax,
Olympics
That's on-
now.
that's on
earwax is
next
right
week's
up there,
podcast.
right up there.
Okay. What are different ways someone can lose their hearing?
A very prolonged amounts of loud sound can degenerate your hearing. It won't normally be just a normal one. It can happen from a great big bang explosion, ear ringing, tinnitus or whatever, and then you can do it. But it's a prolonged amount of time. So if you're in a rock band for a very long time, you'll lose your hearing eventually if you're not wearing earplugs and stuff like that. So a lot of people who work in the music industry
Okay, besides prolonged amounts of sound, what other any other
ways? I'm sure there's an infection that could do it to you.
Yeah,
right?
Diseases, things like
there's
that.
diseases and stuff that there could be something that could infect your ear tube and then do it to you.
Well, then on that same thing, exposure to like what level of decibels can cause hearing loss?
Yeah, see the decibels, I don't know. I'm going to get the decibels all wrong. I think I might be way out. I think the human voice can yell at about 90 decibels or something like that, scream at 90 decibels. And then I think you start losing your hearing around 200 decibels or something like that. So you can't just yell at someone and then they're like, you yelled at me, I've lost my hearing. It's not quite enough.
When someone is deaf, what causes this? Like, there's different ways to, sometimes people are born become deaf.
Probably didn't pray enough. They weren't. They didn't give themselves up to the Lord enough. I got to tell you though, I found out sign language for the word slut, and I've been doing it on stage. Fuck me, the deaf have they're out of control. Okay, this is slut camera. You ready?
Oh God!
It's 4 fingers in, and then you pull a foot apart. Like, my God, deaf people, have some decorum.
Okay. What are harmonics and overtones?
They were soul groups from the 1950s.
Probably. You might be right. So, last question. What is McGurk effect? McGurk.
Oh, McGurk effect.
So you need too much McDonald's.
Who's making a typing noise?
I don't know.
Not anymore, he's not. The McGurk effect. The McGurk effect. I don't know. There's something to do with McDonald's.
No. Ben, how did Jim do on his knowledge of like hearing, sound, general things like that? 0 through 10. 10's the best.
Actually, Jim knows a lot. I have to say.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether I should say I'm surprised, but
I am.
You definitely belong here. You belong on this side.
Oh, man. I don't know about that. Is it because of the earwax thing?
Like
you tasted it each other?
Well, I got another earwax tasting buddy, so that's one part. But
some sort of group you have.
Write in. Don't be shy, people. Write in. Live your truth.
So what are you going to give him? 0 through 10. He said this. He said that there's a hammer that something gets banged on in your ear.
Yeah. So I think based on that, I would say 6.5.
Okay.
So who hits the drum?
That is a shockingly good score.
6.5. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll go through the questions.
I think I may have gotten close in the decibels or something.
There's a couple that you did get right, though. Yeah. That I was like, all right. That I knew at least. I don't know what the answers are. How did you do in confidence, Kelly?
I thought your answers were ridiculous, but I loved them. I thought it was very fun. So I'm going to give you a 9.
Yeah.
Well, that's 15.5. Yeah, I'll just give you 5. Or that's 20.5. You almost made it, so you don't have to yell. I can hear you just fine, but you're still mumbling.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a mumbler anyway. I've always thought I've had terrible diction for a person whose professional job is talking.
I'm the worst mumbler. One time somebody pointed out to me that they recorded it, and I was like, holy cow, I don't know. I'm driving this podcast here, so it's not good. All right, first question. What is hearing? How does it work? Jim said hearing comes through your ears on the side of your head. Sounds come in them. They're shaped in a shape to capture the sound. You go in a canal, and then a drum with a hammer gets hit. Then you process it in your mind. Gotta be easy. Babies can do it.
It's gotta be easy. Babies can do it.
Do you have a better answer than like what is hearing? Like how's it work? Kind of.
Well, so hearing is basically humans' way to sense vibrations. So our eardrum. So sound enters our ear. So this part of the ear is called the pinna, like the outer ear that like keeps your spectacles on. That's like that's called the pinna. So the sound goes through the ear canal, vibrates the tympanic membrane, which is also called the eardrum. And then there are those 3 bones inside that relay the signal to the cochlea. And the cochlea actually breaks down the sound into different frequencies and sends the signal to the brain.
And those bones.
That's,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
And I was just saying that like the sound, like the electric signal goes to the brain in a part called the auditory cortex, and that's where you process what's happening.
Okay, so those bones, that was Jim got that right. Those are the smallest bones in our body. Those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are those called? Right. The bones? There's.
So there are 3 bones actually. They're called malleus, incus, and stapes.
Yeah. How small are they?
They
Well,
fit your ear, man.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. They said the smallest in the world. I mean, it's smallest in their body. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact size, but like they're so small that sometimes it's contended like whether we should call them bones or cartilage. Like it's they're the Pluto of the bone system. So,
Dwarf bones.
Right. So you couldn't eat like chicken wings and thighs. You can't eat like in a Michelin star restaurant. Okay.
You're not getting human ear.
Here's the meat
the
off the
bone.
bone. No, the bird bones. I'm not eating human. Because they'd have even smaller ones.
Yeah, tiny.
Yeah.
I asked Jim what is sound. He said it's the opposite of silent. Silence is a canvas in which sound is drawn on.
Which I thought was beautiful. That should go on like should get embroidered on a pillow or something.
Yeah.
Is that what sound is?
Well, technically, it's correct, but then silence is. I would rather define silence using sound, but then it's the chicken egg thing.
Would you argue we can still hear silence?
Well, there's actually a musical piece called Silence. I think from like the 40s or the 50s, and many bands perform it, and they would actually come on the stage holding their instruments and just not do anything.
I've had audiences perform it for me.
Hold on a second. So,
that's like when artists paint a canvas completely black and then sell it for $50,000.
Yeah, but at least they painted it black. This is like, yeah. What were you saying, man?
Although here, there's something actually. So when the band doesn't do anything, the audience starts making noises. Someone's just walking out. So like there's some art there. Like in a black canvas, it's like you can do it, but can you recreate the same angry audience sounds?
Fair enough.
No, probably not.
I feel like you can hear like silence creeps me the hell out. Like I always have to listen to like either brown noise or thunderstorms or whatever when I sleep. And,
Wait a minute.
And when
what's brown noise?
Brown noise is.
I know what white noise is.
Yeah, I just learned about brown noise recently, and it's
plop.
It's just a different type of frequency or sound than white noise, but still kind of the same thing. But if I'm listening to any of those things in the middle of the night and they like it pauses or skips or something like that and it goes silent for a second, it'll wake me up, which sucks.
I think you should do a whole tour where it's called the silent tour. I mean, you just get on stage
and then just get up and go.
Yeah.
There was a very famous comedian who is like Australia's Lenny Bruce called Rodney Rude, right?
Yeah.
And he's still touring and he's in his 80s and he's great now. There's some questionable material on the thing, but he did bring out but he's fucking good, Rodney Rude, mate. Buy an album. But anyway, so he did bring out a Christmas special called Rodney Rude's Christmas Special.
Yeah.
And you put the CD on and all it said was, "You've been ripped off, cunt."
That's the whole thing? It's just one track?
That's amazing.
Yeah, but everyone laughed so hard and was like, "Oh, go on, Rodney."
He sold a lot of those, I bet, right?
They're very hard to come by now. You have to find them.
So then what is that? Is that what we're going for? Like what the definition of sound is? Is there like,
yeah.
Okay.
So sound is actually a pressure wave. So similar to like, say, pressure that you apply on something that you push. So sound is essentially just like increase of pressure and decrease of pressure, that kind of a like oscillating wave. So when sound travels through air gets pressurized, like compressed and then decompressed and then compressed and then decompressed. That's what exactly sound is. It's a wave and it's a pressure wave. It requires a medium to travel. So if you shout in space, nobody will hear you because there's no sound in space.
Right, because there's no air, right? So
yeah, because there's no air or any medium to like carry the sound. Because technically the sound can also pass through solids and liquids, but there's like nothing there, right? And
because you can hear people talk in swimming pools.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So if I get a Perspex cube, we suck all the air out, and we have a radio in there. The radio will still make a sound, right?
So if you suck all the air out, the radio will make no sound. The radio's membrane will just vibrate, but it's just vibrating on its own. It's not creating any sound.
Oh, so there's no air for it to travel. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Then why do we do it in pools? I'm lost. No
okay.
air is in pools.
Nobody.
But there's still vibrations of the water or something. There's still something to make it travel.
It's still a substance that pressure can travel.
Yeah,
through.
okay. I'm up. I know.
That's how dolphins work, right? Like dolphins communicate, like huge distances.
But
With echolocation,
so sonar is sound?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll produce. I know about dolphins, so they'll produce through their right in their melon there, and they'll send out the sound, and they receive it back in their jaw. It's like hollow. They have like a gel in there, and that bounces back to echolocation. That's all I know about dolphins. But okay, so how is sound produced? Jim said walking is from your shoes hitting the floor, making a clip-clopping noise, and then he made a sound with his mouth. And things banging into each other. That's how sound is produced.
Everything just banging into each other, man. Vibrations of things banging into each other.
You didn't say vibration before.
I said it later with the guitar.
Okay. All right.
Well, that's definitely correct. Like a lot of these physical processes produce sound, but like more generally, you can say any vibrating object that is like vibrating in the hearing range, like that produces sound.
So if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. Of course it does.
It vibrates.
Yeah. This whole idea that it doesn't make a sound if there's no one there to hear it. The idea that we're so special that we have to hear the fucking tree fall. It makes a sound.
Yeah. A bird heard it. Yeah. Probably there was a bird.
No, but if there's no animals to hear it, it still makes a sound.
Yeah, it's still
the trees could hear it.
We finally, there we go. So a guitar, how does it produce sound? Strumming a string, it vibrates, it makes a plucking sound. Vibrations, is that how?
So that's the first part of it. So if you pull a string on, say, a plank, that won't sound like a guitar, right? Like, why does a wooden plank, like a string on a wooden plank, not sound like a guitar? It's because it doesn't have the sound box, which is like very characteristic to, say, a guitar, and like a violin has a very different kind of a body, right? So what happens is the string vibrates. So you pluck the string vibrates. The vibration travels from the string to the bridge, from the bridge to the top plate, and from the top plate to the air inside the guitar. And that's where the sound actually gets produced. Like the top plate vibrates and vibrates the air inside, and you hear the sound through the round hole in the guitar.
I've always thought it's weird that when you play a flute, the sound actually comes from where your mouth is, not from the hole at the end of the flute.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it comes from there. So you play the microphone, you play it up there rather than have the instrument over the other end.
I actually had a quick question that I meant to put on the outline. So a lot of people say that they don't like hearing their own voice in a recording, and it often sounds different than what they hear in their head. Is that just because of where the sound is coming from when we're hearing it is so close to where our ear is versus it's further away when we're listening to a recording? Is that the perception that's different?
So that's part of it, but the main reason actually, like that's a very interesting thing. So how do you think we listen to our own voice when we're speaking? Like, for example, I'm speaking right now.
We listen to it inside our heads almost, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I heard it through my ears, but I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know.
Because you have headphones on, right? Like, but you can hear yourself actually much more than what you can hear yourself. Like the levels are more now as compared to when your headphones are off.
Yeah.
Because you hear yourself through your jawbones.
Oh.
Like a dolphin.
We are similar.
Okay,
And
so we hear it through our jawbones when we're speaking, but if we're listening to a recording of ourselves, then we're hearing it through our ears.
Yes. And like when sound travels through jawbones, so jawbones do this weird thing where they would like cut all the higher frequencies and keep the lower frequencies intact. So you think you sound bassier than you actually sound like.
Oh, that's really interesting.
I think I sound very bassy right now. Like
you do sound very bassy right now.
Yeah, but right now, this is what it sounds like to me. And to you, it's like this. Hey,
yeah, because and there was another thing. I snapped my Achilles, and I heard it snap, but no one else heard it snap. And I was like, "You didn't hear that snap?"
It didn't happen.
But it was inside my body, so it was like maybe hearing the vibration in my body, right? Maybe my jaw was picking that up or something.
That totally happens. Like, because at the end of the day, your eardrum should vibrate. That's what will give you like the hearing sensation, right?
Yeah.
So if it vibrates by hook or by crook, Like that's just
If
sound
an
healing.
Achilles snaps on the forest.
Achilles snaps on a forest.
What is pitch? Jim said the height of the sound. High pitch, high frequency. Pitch means you stay in tune.
Yeah, that's actually pretty close to the actual definition. It's like the degree of highness or lowness of a tone, and it's normally the lowest frequency present in a sound, or like the lowest frequency of variation in the sound. Like normally, why I'm saying normally is because we like through research in our lab we actually found another form of pitch. So like pitch actually is a perceptual construct. We perceive pitch, like pitch exists after we perceive sound. And
I have a great name for a podcast for you. You ready? It's called Listen Pitch.
For Vin,
Yeah,
that's
nice.
Vin's podcast.
Yeah, I should totally do that.
But wait. So, but we all agree. But okay, so like someone like Adele, who's like a great. Most people agree, like, wow, her voice is great. So we're all perceiving pitch the same. Is that the?
Yeah. So, for example, Adele sings, say, the note C, right? So she would produce a sound that will contain a lot of frequencies. But the lowest frequency in her voice would be like around 241, if I'm correct. Like A is 440. So like the lowest frequency will be somewhere there. That would be her pitch. So when you have, so that also sort of covers like the harmonics and the overtones question.
Yeah, you can get to, you can talk about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like you have the lowest frequency, and then you have like integral multiples. So like you would have 440, and then you would have 880, and then like what would be that? 1760, and like all multiples of 440. So the pitch would be like 440 hertz, and all of these frequencies that like exist above this 440 are like all overtones or harmonics. Like they're just like multiples of this base frequency, which is called the pitch.
Okay. So it's not a soul band, harmonics and overtones.
No, I bet you they were. I bet you they opened for the Temptations. I bet you they'd be on a poster.
The harmonics and the
The
overtones.
harmonics and the overtones.
That'd be two different bands.
You're
though.
telling
The
me
harmonics and the overtones.
Yeah, they're different bands. They're on like the whatever the equivalent of Coachella.
There is a band called the Harmonics.
Yeah, damn
and
straight.
they have a song. They
Called
did a
The
cover
Overtones?
of The Sound of Silence, and let's see if there's a band called the Overtones.
Yeah,
There's got to be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, the Overtones vocal group,
Yeah.
UK-based vocal harmony group.
All right. Well, you get a
It
point.
had to be there.
Yeah.
How fast does sound travel? And then Jim started talking about the speed of light, and that would win at the Olympics.
I gave you speed.
1,500 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Well, miles per hour. Okay. So now I need to convert that in meter per
If
second.
I got it right at
You don't-
kilometers, just stick with kilometers.
You don't have to
man.
convert it. Yeah, you can just tell us what your answer would be. Yeah.
So it's actually a trick question, because how fast does sound travel where? And like in air or in water or like through metal? Like no one specified that.
We'll just do
Like-
it on a football field.
We'll start with air. How about that?
so in air, it's like 343 meter per second near equator, because it depends on the temperature of air and also like
It's
the air pressure.
It's much faster.
Yeah, meters per second.
Does it move faster through hot air versus cold air?
Yes.
Ooh, good question.
Wow.
Wow,
that's-
Jack came in with
Little
fucking.
science guy.
Yeah, you're already like close to an A in acoustics after that. Like you know how it varies. with
Oh
temperature.
wow! Jeez, I should have gone
Dang.
to university.
MIT sounds easy.
Just got Jack. Just got
I even
Jack
asked
to
a
do my
question.
homework.
I had the right answer.
You would have been in class. Jack would have always. I've got a question. Oh god, we're all trying to go home.
So wait, it's 343 meters per second.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that's 767 miles per hour.
So I went faster than that.
Yeah. So a commercial jet goes
Per
500, but
second.
they're not
No,
No, per
isn't it
second, Forrest.
767
You're
miles per
way
second
out. You're way out.
meters per second.
to
Yeah.
miles per second, probably, right?
To
Yeah.
miles per hour. I think it's about correct.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, you two are scientists.
I'm just putting it in this thing. It says
I don't think it'd be
meter per
770 miles per hour.
I don't know.
It would be per second.
We have cars that can do that.
Let's just keep with
we have hot rod cars that can do that.
Let's keep with 343 meters per second.
Let's just be dumb Americans.
And then in water, it's slower.
Actually, in water, it's faster.
Ooh, damn. Forrest was a marine biologist, bitch. And he didn't know that. He's like, it'll be slower in water. Nah, he didn't know.
There was a question mark at the end of my statement. So just so you know.
I guess that makes sense.
That makes you A+ student then.
So many creatures in the ocean have to communicate from really far away. So that I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
so they got to talk miles away.
So it makes sense that it moves faster in water.
Okay, and then so what is a wavelength? And Jim said it when it goes whoa, and the frequency.
I got a question. How far can the human voice be heard? If all things equal, you know what I mean?
What things equal?
No, because I feel like I can yell over a valley. Like sometimes I can talk to an audience of 5,000 people without my microphone for a joke.
But that's the way that the theater was built.
They can all hear me. I can hear a heckler over 5,000 people.
No, but I just read this thing, and it was like any of the theaters that were built like in the 20s and 30s, like the vaudeville era, the acoustics are awesome because they didn't have amplified sound yet then, so they built them also if someone could just stand there and talk. So when you're in those older theaters, and you're like the Beacon or something like that, and you're in it, and you're like, oh, they can hear me so much better. And then more modern theaters are like,
you'd have to be standing in a field yelling help.
I'll change the way I do it. Right? How far can the human voice be heard in the desert?
Yeah, that's a really nice question.
Because I know on a lake too, like if I've been on a lake before and it's been a mile across the lake and I can hear people on the other side of the lake talking and I don't know why. Yeah.
It travels faster with water, Forrest.
No, over the water. Yeah.
Actually, near a lake, you can hear much further than in a desert. Who wants to guess why?
Because it bounces off of the water?
Yeah, because it bounces off, it skims across like a stone.
Yeah.
Can I get an A?
Yes. For this problem, yes.
Is that why?
Yeah, so actually the air-water interface, like that, just reflects sound the same way it reflects light. So most of the sound will just get reflected off there, but like sand will absorb sound a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I hate sand.
Okay, so in the desert, it wouldn't travel as far than
Then like say near a water body. But then the water body also makes its own sound. So like anyone on the other side, if the water is like too loud, they have to sort of separate the water from the voice, which is like a separate issue.
Got it. Yeah.
Is it easier to hear people during the day or at night? Because the temperature would change. It's
hot air versus cold air.
Yeah. I do feel like when it gets colder, you can hear the highway more, like for the house I used to live at. I don't know, but maybe that's just me.
Rush hour?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So many factors.
Yeah. Is it easier to hear at 5 p.m. and 9 a.m.?
But the lake thing, I used to live on a lake in New York, and it was crazy. It was like miles across, and I could hear their conversation like they were standing next to me. It was weird. But also, still be careful what you say near lake.
Like, I think that fuck on the other side of the river is listening in. They're like, he can't hear it. Why does he pull his dick out?
That's just what he does.
So wavelength, Jim said, is wah, wah, wah. And then a frequency is how frequent the wavelength is. And infrasound is when you bring people to a party and ask, are you in for this?
Yeah.
How could he do that?
Yeah.
I'll take a B.
The frequency answer was correct. So I can give you that.
Yeah.
So it's how frequently the wavelength repeats itself. So it's like how many vibrations per second, essentially. So how many pressure vibrations are happening per second. So if I say 20 hertz, that means 20 vibrations per second, which is also the lowest frequency that humans can hear, 20 hertz. So like to make hearable sound or audible sound, you need to like vibrate something 20 times a second, which is crazy, right? Like how can you cannot move your hand that fast.
Right.
So that's why
I knew that they were going to do that.
No, you can't.
I got a mate with Parkinson's who can give you a run for his money.
The experiment has been done. We agree with you. Yeah.
And wavelength is the spatial measure of like it's the length after which the wave repeats itself. So a wave has like a compression and a rarefaction, a compression and a rarefaction. So the distance from one compression to another compression.
Gotcha.
that's the wavelength.
So vinyl records or digital downloads, like people argue that vinyl is better because it's an acoustic sound that's coming off a vibration off the needle.
That's a farce.
Oh man, but I like to be pretentious at parties and shit.
What, are you a hipster now, Jim?
I like
No, the
records.
reason is a lot of MP3s are super compressed versus vinyl, which isn't as compressed.
Wow.
Wow, you
MP3
really
is
have
a
an
different
A.
story. Yeah.
So
Yeah, MP3 is a different story, but like if you have like a WAV file or even say CD audio, like WAV file is like not compressed at all, and
Wave is
like
good.
yeah, waves. Actually, there's a reason we moved from analog sound to digital sound. There was a reason.
So I'm just off topic a bit. So what was the instrument that Forrest said you played? What was that?
It's called the Mohan Veena.
And what's a mohovina? The only Indian instrument I know, I might be wrong, this might not be, is the sitar, right? We all know the sitar. Is it similar to that or?
So actually, my guru played the sitar. So it's basically Mohan Veena is actually the body of a guitar, the strings of a sitar,
right,
and the playing style like of an ancient instrument called the Vichitra Veena. So how it works is, have you seen the slide guitar?
I have, yes.
Sure,
Yeah. I've lived in America
So-
long enough to see people with a big ring on their finger slide up and down. Yeah.
Yeah. So think of like the Hawaiian guitars. If you've been to Hawaii, like they have like this metal rod that they use to like slide on the guitar, and like they put it in their lap, and like that's how they play the guitar. So a Mohan Veena is played like that, but it has the strings of a sitar. So it has like 21 strings.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. this
Was
instrument.
Ravi Shankar, like, was he considered the godfather of Indian music or something? Because all I know is he hung out with George Harrison a bit. Did he get too much press, or was he worth the hype?
So he was a very interesting person. So I belong from like his gharana or like his school of music. So he was really good, but definitely a part of the clout that he got was because like he was sort of the father of Indian music in the West, because that's what like he recognized that hippie culture is a very good sort of clientele for Indian music.
Sure,
And
they buy stuff
yeah.
late at night. They don't know why.
You don't have your instrument with you, right? It's like not right there.
Not now. Not
Too
right
bad.
now.
Should have
Yeah.
arranged that. Okay, so the frequency, we just did this. The frequency, that's the distance between the wavelengths. And the wavelengths.
It's how frequently the wavelength occurs.
Wavelength is the length between the waves, and frequency is a number of vibrations per second.
The speed of the vibrations. Okay. And then where was that one?
Infrasound.
Infrasound.
It's all sound below the lowest frequency we can hear. So below 20 hertz.
Okay.
And
that was the next question, was what frequency range do humans hear? It's 20 hertz is the lowest?
Yes.
And the
It's
highest?
20.
What did I say?
I don't remember. It's not in
You
there.
just said humans have a small frequency and gets worse as you get older.
I think you said 300.
But I said something about how you can go deaf at night.
You said
the
90,
human voice
yeah.
can only yell to 90 or something.
90 decibels.
Yeah, that
I
was
said the thing
decibels.
about the shopping center, the convenience
Yeah,
stores.
but that was decibels. So there's a range for humans. So 20 hertz is the lowest, and then the high end is
20 kilohertz. So like 20,000 hertz.
oh wow,
Wow.
okay.
And is there people who can, like, are we all hearing it the same, or is there people who have got stronger hearing, or you know what I mean? I don't know.
So I think like you said it already, like our hearing range sort of decreases or diminishes with age. So 20,000 hertz is like, okay, a baby can hear 20,000 hertz, but like we can't. So you can play like 19,000 hertz on your phone or on your speaker through your headphones, like you won't be able to hear.
But what about
19,000.
that when they say people that are blind, they can hear better than people that aren't? So they're hurt. Yeah.
So that is mostly due to the fact that they have to rely solely on their hearing. So they hear the same thing, but their brain is able to comprehend more stuff from the same sound, because they're forced to, like, for example, just from the sound of a rolling ball, estimate mass of the rolling ball. Like, this seems like a heavy ball, I need to stay away from it or something. Like, we don't need to rely on our hearing that much because we can see. If a person cannot see, they have to like rely on all sort of inferences from sound, right?
Right.
It's also like you'll be at a party and if you stare at someone, like everyone can be talking at the party, you can be loud, but if you stare at the person, your hearing can like actually focus in on that person. You go, I know what they're talking about. But if you're not looking at them,
It's called like the cocktail effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, cocktail party problem. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. So hearing scientists take this example of a cocktail party, and they're really, so nobody has been able to explain how humans exactly are able to, like, we can even listen to like 4 or 5 speakers at once. Like if 5 speakers are saying something, you'll be able to listen to each of them. Like even when you close your eyes, like you don't need to look at the person. You can like stream the sound from like one source and just reject the others on will. So you can try to listen to one sound, try to listen to another, and like you can do it on will. Like you don't need to look at the person for that.
I always like those adverts that are late at night and there's like someone who can't hear very well. And then they're like, you buy this thing and you'll be able to hear people this far away at parties and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's always like someone's sitting there and then someone's like, did you see that dress she's wearing? She looks amazing. And the person's sitting there going, yeah.
Good purchase.
Yeah, because that's what happens when people are talking far away from you. They're always saying nice things.
Only compliments.
He's such a handsome individual.
Yeah,
I like hanging out with
you
him.
You never hear fucking Jim's here. He's gotten fat. That would only be good things.
That wouldn't be good for the commercial, I don't think. Yeah.
What about people who have? Oh, sorry.
There's a guy that in the commercial. There's a guy and he's at the beach and there's 2 girls sunbaking next to each other and they're like, "Who's that guy over there?" And he sort of looks down camera like, "Without my spying device, I never would have known they're interested." When they'd really be going, "Why is he staring?" And he's got a headphones on with a small little thing.
What about people with like auditory processing problem? Like I have ADHD, and so when I'm in a room that's really loud and a lot of conversations are going on, I feel like I'm hearing all of them at the same time, and that's super overwhelming. Or when people chew with their mouth open, or any of those things, like that hurts my ears more than it does somebody. How does that all work?
So I think like there are multiple things in this. One is like some people have more sensitive ears than others. Like for example, if someone talks loudly next to me, like my ears hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like the thing that you're saying is like, I think related to the attention deficit, because when you have to stream one speaker out of say 10 people speaking at the same time, like you need to attend to that source, right? Like it requires attention abilities of your mind. And it's still like an open research question, but like from what I can see, or like from what I have read, I can say that it's probably what you're experiencing is a part of your like AD part of it.
Okay.
Like,
so I don't like the nails on the chalkboard. I don't even now like chalk being on boards. And I went to school where it was all chalk the whole time and I put up with this stuff. Why is there certain, because it seems like a pretty universal. Another one I can't, if my fingernails are on the Juco paint on a car.
Sometimes people don't like people chewing ice. Stuff like
I love that noise.
Yeah, but sometimes people don't like certain sounds. Yeah, I know that. I don't know.
Sharpie for me.
So what's the most irritating sound in the world, like as a scientist?
Thinking of Dumb and Dumber right now.
Yeah. So I think irritating sound. So that's actually, I think we should probably do some research on that. We have never quantified like the irritability of sounds. But the thing is like why we find certain sounds more irritable than others. It's because sometimes they have like evolutionary links. Like for example, screams are high pitched, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means danger. So if someone would scream in the wild, that means you have to go away from that, right? Or like there's something to run away from. So similarly, when the chalk like makes that kind of a screeching sound, we feel, oh, this is like unpleasant. This is not something we should be hearing.
But everyone likes the sound of a crackling of a fire until you're on fire.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think yeah.
Like you think if that's evolutionary, you think, oh,
then you hear
but
the
also
screams.
that the crackling of the fire means warmth and it means your food's being cooked and this means you're going to live. So double-edged sword, the old fire.
When does it transfer from being like unpleasant to somebody who suffers from misophonia? Or is that how you pronounce it? Misophonia?
No, eusophonia.
Yeah. We also funny.
What?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Like all this on like aesthetics of sound, still it's like people are trying to do research on this, but like we don't have like very strong scientific evidence because of like the fact that like all of these things are just so cultural. Like we went to like our some of our the researchers from our lab went to this Amazonian tribe in Bolivia, and like we played them music from say our culture, and like that tribe did not have any human contact before that, or like any significant human contact. So like their idea of what's good in music was totally different. Like we would say, oh, this is like this chord sounds really nice, like for example a major chord that sounds really happy, and to them it's like, oh, does it? Like, so it's
And they love Nickelback there, I've heard.
No, but did they like take to Mozart or any like the people that we all recognize are brilliance? You know, did they relate to that? Did they like the Beatles? Did they? Or because I always think that about like, so the Aboriginals are the oldest culture in the world, right? But then in Europe, you already had, you know, Mozart had already happened. And the Aboriginals, they, well, what instrument you got? The hollowed out stick that goes, and now it's sort of culturally become a thing where you go, oh, it is sort of beautiful, and you can sort of think, but you wouldn't listen to a whole album, is what I'm saying.
So you wanted to find out if the tribes in Bolivia, the Amazonian, did they not enjoy the music?
Well, I'm just saying, did they see that as too complicated and they liked the more basic sound, or what happened there?
so their music tradition. So they also have music. So the crazy part is like even humans who have sort of evolved like distantly from say the Western population, even they have like their own music. So like everyone came up with music on their own sort of, and they have a more singing based and drum based music. So they're not used to say stringed instruments or like they have pan flute. Okay, so they have like wind instruments. But to them, like any structure, I think structure sounds good to like even them. So like if you have beat patterns, things are repeating in time. So like those things, like those kind of like temporal structures or like constant frequencies, like those things like sound good to them. But like it's an open question, and like we should do a follow-up study of how they perceive Mozart.
So like they like EDM music then.
Yeah, I used to like drum music and still the drum circles in Venice when I was living there every weekend. Holy hell, those idiots. Fucking slapping their drums around. Oh, I want to join in. Boom, boom. You know, all they did for hours on end. Yeah, they didn't bloody stop. I'll tell you what country I reckon has the worst music. I've traveled the world. I can't stand the Greek music. I don't know what's going on.
We've ranted about this before on this podcast.
The bloody Greek music. I'm sitting there in restaurants and I'm like, you can't want to listen to this the whole time. and I like the food and everything, right? Like I reckon as soon as you leave a Greek restaurant, the waiters go, turn it off.
That's how they just clear turntables.
So these were like some general questions about ears. I asked Jim to point to his ear, and he said, this is the whole top bit, middle bit with psoriasis, and earlobe with sebaceous cyst. You said this one is a pinna. You said that earlier. The top is the pinna?
Yeah, it's called the pinna. Yes.
Pinna.
Yes.
And this is the lobe, or is that called something else probably?
Yeah, it's called the earlobe. Well, you can call it like lobule, but lobe is fine.
Does the lobe do anything? Because my father doesn't really have them. He just has these scrunched up, wrinkly bits of skin at the bottom of his ears. Like he's a lobeless man.
You know something very, very cool about lobe? So I think you might know that there are two types of people with attached and like detached earlobe.
Yeah.
So either
like mine are attached. Sometimes if they're attached to stuff. Yours are detached, I think, Jim.
No, they feel pretty attached to me. Head.
No, to your head, but like, it connects here with your neck, right? Is that?
Yeah,
the tip. The tip of your earlobe.
Yeah, mine are attached.
Yeah, mine's not attached.
So
So
okay. So what do they do?
It keeps on growing.
Yeah.
As you age, so your earlobes never stop growing. Actually, so they grow very slowly, but like they never stop growing, and they have like one of the you can say densest network of capillaries and like blood vessels, and nobody knows why. Nobody still knows why.
And so what? Yeah, like what's the point of it? And what, like
for earrings?
Yeah, for earrings, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they're for. So they have the densest capillaries, and we poke holes in them. Like, yeah, this will be good.
Yeah, the people who get the big rings in there and they get them larger and larger.
Gauges.
Like, no, what are you doing, dude? Sooner you have to take it off, and then you got that just floppy bit of skin.
And
on
it smells.
Ugh.
It smells?
Yeah, people's when they take the gauges out, the holes smell really
Hey,
bad.
I have to do.
Oh,
Jack was out of the
God.
room when this happened. Jack.
Yeah.
Have you ever tasted your earwax and did you enjoy it?
Yes, I've tasted it. No,
What
I did not
the
enjoy it.
fuck?
No, it's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible.
Well, you don't know it's on your finger. All of a sudden, you do something like, "Ah!"
Oh no, I purposely did it.
Okay, no, mine was not on purpose.
What do you mean you don't know what's on your finger?
Why are you sticking your finger in your mouth if you don't know what's on it?
Dude, I don't know. I just have a nail
Oh
biter.
no, it's a bitter.
It's very bitter.
Yeah, it's very.
It sucked. Look, I didn't like it. I didn't want it to happen.
You're going to do it now, Kelly.
No, there's no chance.
Just when you get it, just
I
to
have
scoop
the,
a little bit.
I
in
have
your-
the
just-
weakest stomach in the world. Even
just
thinking
dip it
about
on your
it
tongue. You
makes
don't
me-
have to swallow
No,
it.
I don't want to dip it on my tongue. I will throw up.
No, you
I will.
won't.
I legitimately will throw up.
Is there any other parts of the outer ear there?
Forrest, scratch a bit of earwax.
The pinna?
I'll do
No,
it.
no, I'm not
I'll
doing-
do it right now.
No, please don't. Please don't. Please don't. I don't want it.
Yeah, it's very bitter.
Wow.
Kelly, easy. Hold
So-
it together.
This is like the weakest episode of Jackass ever.
The earwax. Wait, so the pinna, the earlobe, is there any other parts out there? What's the hole? He said the hole. And what's this little
the
thing
ear
that sticks
canal,
out right
yeah,
here? This little thing. This little flap.
Bonus question, like a very quick bonus question. What does the pinna do?
The pinna right here. I don't know. Like you said, holds your
Oh,
glasses.
no, the curved bit at the top.
Yeah.
It captures the sound and funnels it back down into the hole. It's like when
Why
you,
does it need to
it's-
have like patterns on it?
Patterns?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. Yeah, because the ear. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
not
like
sure.
why isn't it just like a scoop? Like okay. Oh, it would have something to do with dust. Be something to do with keeping things out of there. Well, you don't know. You just wanted the
I
answer.
think he's trying to get if he's going to give you anything.
He's not a doctor yet. This is the one thing keeping him from being a doctor.
No. The thing is, pinna actually helps you figure out whether a sound is coming from the top or from the bottom of your head. So, like, just imagine if a sound is like coming directly from in front of you, but from the top, like it's equidistant from both your ears. How would you know that it's coming from the top and not the bottom?
So it will. Does that help with surround sound as well? So you know something's behind you.
Spatial audio. Yes.
Because I'm always amazed, like when you're playing like Call of Duty, and I can hear someone walking behind me, and then they're walking to my left or they're walking to my right, and you know what I mean. Like, I'm like, it's pretty cool how they can do that because the speaker's just still on one side.
Yeah.
Are there just like a bunch of tiny speakers in the headset that do that? That'd be my guess.
No, they're normal earphones.
Yeah, you can do it on those headphones. Like you can do like a sound from the back or sound from the front. That is because your head, like the human head, like it filters the sound before it goes into your ear. For example, if there's something happening at the back, like your head will filter it and then it will go through your ear. And like that filtering, like you have learned that filtering over your lifetime. So you can only listen to like sounds from the back or like figure out that something's making a sound from like at your back through your own head. You have only learned the transfer function of your own head. Like you cannot like swap heads and like do it. So that's the thing. So we've learned what our head does.
Now, is this an urban myth or is this the case? Because I have a baby at the moment, and I will have for another year or so.
You get rid of it?
Yeah, it
what's
just won't be,
happening?
won't be a baby.
Yeah.
Won't be a baby. But okay, so you put babies where the shushing sound comes from and all that sort of stuff. So you put them with the white noise, and it's meant to replicate them being in the womb and the blood flow going around them. Is that correct, or is that just an urban legend?
So I just know that babies like white noise in general, like they just become calm. I'm not exactly sure whether it's because it mimics the womb, but could be. Could be. I'm not totally
Well,
sure.
there's only one way to do it. Get a camera and put it up there. So I'm sure
Or
some doctors done it.
Microphone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, probably be better. Oh, no. I was thinking like a GoPro. Has both.
Okay.
GoPro Sport.
We talked about the bones. Ossicles are the little hairs in the ears, Jim said. I think that was, I don't know what they do.
Yeah, that's so. Ossicles are actually the three bones, the middle ear bones.
Ah, okay.
Did you think I got that right?
Yeah, I did.
I
I got
didn't.
it right. What does
I was like-
eustachian tube do? Jim didn't know.
So eustachian tube is a tube that connects your middle ear. So like So you have your eardrum, right? So after the eardrum, there's like that empty space there. So the tube connects that space to your nasal cavity, actually. So whenever you have cold, you hear differently.
Yeah.
Whenever you get off an airplane, your eustachian tube sort of clogs. Sometimes have you like felt that pain in your ears?
Oh, yeah.
After your
Yeah.
So that's because your eustachian tube got like blocked because of like the air pressure difference, and like you just hear differently. Like, do you remember how you like hear after you get off a plane? Like you only hear like low frequencies, the volume's lowered down. You hear very weirdly. That's because the eustachian tube.
So like when your ears are popping, that's because of your eustachian tube.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Is there anyone with 100 years old who still has good hearing? Like, I feel my hearing's worse now, and it might be because during COVID, everyone's put up a plastic barrier for everything, and they're wearing a mask. I'm not seeing the lips. But now I have to hold my ear up to the hole at the bank and go, what? Right? So, and I never used to have to do that. I don't know if it's COVID or a permanent thing, but like, does it degenerate for, what I'm basically saying, does it degenerate for everyone? Or is there still people like, you got freaky people who still got great eyesight while everyone else is getting glasses? Or is it the same sort of thing for everyone?
So maybe someone in the wild who didn't get exposed to like any sound, some monk, I'm not sure. Maybe they might have like really good hearing.
Right.
But for all of us living in this materialistic world, hearing sounds above 80 decibels very commonly, like we just lose hearing over time as we age. And there's literally no way to get it back. Like you can wear, like for example, for your eyes, like you can have a cataract operation, right? Like you can remove your cataract, or like you can change the lens or something.
Can yelling hurt people? Can the human voice ever be loud enough to hurt someone's hearing?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, you just said 80 decibels. That was an answer to another question. That's when hearing loss can start, after 80 decibels.
Yes.
Could it happen once off, or would it need to be prolonged, or what would happen there?
Prolonged, typically. Like impulsive sounds, for them to like hamper your hearing, they need to be like slightly above 95 or 100 hertz. So like gunshots, firecrackers, things like that. Like mostly like people who use guns a lot, like one side of their, like one ear is usually like not there for any practical purpose.
But if it happened once, would it hurt it? Like would you hurt it, or does it need to be prolonged?
So it does. And the scary part is, if it does, like for example, if it forms, say, a hole in the eardrum or something, if it damages the eardrum, it stays like that for the rest of your life. Like there's no way to do anything to it. Like your eardrum just has another hole now. Like that's irreparable.
Jeez.
And that's going to be from a gunshot.
Yes. So you can add that to your.
And how loud can a human speak in decibels?
They can go up to like 90, 95. Well, some people can maybe shout higher. Like I don't know what the Guinness Book of World Records.
And a gunshot's at what decibel?
It's like 115, 120.
Right.
Yeah, that'll do something.
Yeah, you said 200, but yeah, much lower than that. So
Well,
cochlea,
200 is too high.
yeah, 200. Yeah, cochlea is the hammer that hits the eardrum. That's what Jim said.
No, I got that wrong.
Yeah, cochlea is actually the inner ear. So that's where the vibrations finally come, and it breaks the sound down into different frequency bins. So like low frequency, high frequency, middle frequency, and things like that. And it converts the mechanical vibrations into electrical impulses that can travel through your auditory nerves to your brain, because your brain only understands electricity. It doesn't understand mechanical vibrations.
So it's the conversion to get to your
Yes.
brain, and that's how it then your brain processes the sound.
Yes.
Okay, because that was another question there. That's how it communicates to the brain. And then what part of the brain processes the sound?
So it goes to the auditory cortex.
Oh.
So cortex is essentially the outer layer of your brain. Like it's the thing actually that you see when you see a brain diagram. Like you see those weird shapes,
ridges,
right? Like so that's like the cortex on like outside the brain, and in that cortex, actually just close to the ear here, you have the auditory cortex on both sides.
So wearing headphones makes your hearing bad, they reckon, if you wear headphones too much, right?
Yes.
So I wear headphones a lot because I'm doing this and also on airplanes all the time and all that type of stuff. Will wearing a what's the bloody hearing aid? Will a hearing aid, because that's a headphone that's in your ear all the time, so the person has to have it because they have bad hearing, does that actually make their hearing worse in the long term?
So if it's tuned to the correct intensities, I would say no. But like it will, but it will definitely hamper your hearing further, and you need to because the point is, you have a choice. Either you don't hear things, or your hearing gets you're already worse. Bad hearing gets slightly worse. So it's that kind of a choice to make.
My wife says I don't hear things. Does marriage make your hearing worse?
Selective hearing.
Yeah, so that's a dangerous question.
There's the old joke about a guy and he's driving along in his car and then the police pull him up and they say, "Do you know that your wife fell out of the car 10 miles ago?" And he goes, "Oh, thank God, I thought I went deaf."
Yeah. Yesterday we were talking about, so I recently got bone conduction headphones that are good for underwater. And so what it does is they sit right in front of your ear and it vibrates, your jaw. Is that something that may become more, would that be better for the degradation of your hearing? As opposed to putting something inside your ear or right above it, like putting it in your jaw instead, would that make it degrade less?
So I would say not by much.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, what happens is your eardrum will vibrate. The sound will go through the middle ear. It will go to the cochlea. All that stays the same.
Gotcha.
The only difference is instead of the vibrations. So how does a headphone work? The membrane of a headphone vibrates. The air next to it vibrates. Then the air makes your eardrum vibrate. So that goes away with this bone conduction and you directly vibrate your jaws.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes the eardrum vibrate, right? So that's just...
How do people go deaf in one ear and not both ears? Because you must be so close to the sound. Why wouldn't...
My brother went deaf in one ear. But he had vertigo and then lost his hearing. It was an event that happened.
Yeah, so that also happens. So you can actually lose your hearing to many diseases. So for example, there's a lot of stochasticity randomness involved in this. For example, you have chickenpox, and one ear just tends to have more chickenpox than the other, and that makes you lose hearing in one ear or something. So that can totally happen, and that's disease based. You're not even wearing headphones, but one day you have severe chickenpox and poof, you have hearing loss.
Really scary.
All right. That was a bunch of questions we just answered there, but this one, can you shut your ears off? Jim said he wished he could, but you can't do that, right?
Yes. So 10 marks for that, because you can shut your eyes. You can decide not to smell also probably you can't really shut. But I would say ears, even when you're sleeping, you are hearing. Mm-hmm. You're not processing the sound in the same way, but your eardrum is still vibrating. The signals are still going to the brain. So you're always hearing.
So your nose, you become nose blind to something, right? So you can get used to a smell and then it ceases to smell. Can there be a sound that's constant in your life and you just stop hearing it?
Yeah, other than the wife, which Jim might have more experience for, but it's not technically possible. I had the same question as a 12-year-old. I distinctly remember this. I thought, what if...
Well, I'm 45, so I'm a bit behind.
So what if I play a sound and it just plays forever? Will I just stop hearing it? I think that's just you getting hearing loss from constantly listening to something.
Right, so Billy Joel, he can always hear Uptown Girl, no matter how many times he plays it.
It's good for him.
We didn't start the fire. Yeah,
it's a fun song.
It is a great song.
And then besides hearing, what else do ears do? He said, keep your glasses on. Tease school. I know balance is one of them, and that's messing with me right now. I think my ear.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The balance, because there's the fluids in your ears, right? Is that why? I heard that's why, because all the fluid goes to one side of your head, then you roll over in bed, so it goes to the other side of your head, and that's meant to be an evolutionary thing to stop you from getting bed sores. So your ears tell you when to roll over. Is that bullshit?
Oh.
That could be true.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know about that, but I know that that's why when the ballet dancers like turn really fast, they stop and then turn again, and then they stop and then turn again. They don't just keep on turning constantly.
Yeah. Okay. And the ice skaters too. I always think about that
Yeah.
too. Like, what's going on with this? Like that.
Yeah, they're
Like figure
headlocks,
skaters.
locks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The turn. Yeah. Okay.
No, you got a spot.
Yeah.
Spot.
But it's the fluid in yours, right? Because I have this balancing issue, right? Or this like kind of, and that's the last thing I'm going to check is my ears.
We're worried that Forrest will never skateboard again.
No, that's already happened. It's a lot of reasons for that.
So what's happening with your balance? I haven't been away.
I don't know.
Have you been falling over all the time?
I'm not falling over, but I feel like I'm gonna, like I have to, like sometimes I touch stuff to steady, and I'm not falling over, but it's just kind of like, it's not good. And I did all this blood work and all this stuff. Everything's fine. So the ears is the next thing we're looking at now. But stay tuned, podcast listeners, for the next one. Okay, blah, blah, blah. We did that one. We did this one. Causes someone that's deaf. We did talk about that. So that's what happens in the ear that's deaf. The cochlea goes bad, or is that?
Yeah, so there are multiple types of hearing loss. So there's like I think it's called like sensory neural hearing loss. That happens like when the inner ear gets damaged or the auditory nerve. So that the inner ear, as in like the cochlea. So when that goes bad, like you get this type of hearing loss, and there are cochlear implants, as Jim said, that like is a very active area of research. We also do some research on that. Like, how do you make an implant that like replaces the natural cochlea that's just gone bad? And just to tell you how far we've gotten with that, anyone with cochlear implant, they can just hear beats in music. They cannot appreciate music. So like we're that off from actual hearing. Like,
Yeah, but we've come a long way since like those like old days where they just put like a gramophone horn in their ear, you know, and they did that one. They just put the horn in their ear, and then like the hearing aids, and then it used to be someone that you have to have a thing hanging around your neck. We had a couple of deaf kids at my school, and what they would do is the teacher would have to wear a microphone around their neck, and then they would wear special headphones and all this type of stuff. Can you foresee a day where we could just like an ear transplant, or just an electronic ear that's just as good?
So that's the goal. That's what we try to do. We first try to understand like the biggest roadblock right now is that we can't really open up a human's ear like that, because it's really well protected in the skull. So you need to break open the skull to actually look at the cochlea of a living human. Right. And like for obvious moral reasons, like you can't just do that for research. You can't just break open someone's skull and like.
You can't do that. You can do that on a cadaver though, right? You can do that on a dead body, right?
Yeah, so we can do that, but then like that's not a functioning cochlea anymore, right? So that's like we need to look at a cochlea that's actually doing what it's doing while it's doing it. Right. But the thing is, we try to circumvent that by modeling, like by doing a bunch of math and like by seeing like what's really in the cochlea and what might be happening when it's functioning. And like, yeah, we're not that far away. But like augmenting human hearing using these kind of implants, we still have a long way to go. Maybe like 20, 30 years would do it, but like definitely not in like 5 years.
Okay. Well, that's me done.
All right. I think one more.
The McGurk effect,
yeah. What is the McGurk effect? Jim said someone McDonald's. I think that's wrong.
It's the McGurkin.
Nice. So the so yeah, this one is like this is a human perception thing. So have you seen that viral video where one person says ba, but you hear fa if like they replace the video with the same sound?
I've seen those ones where they say, "What do you hear?"
And like then Green Lantern or something.
Green Needle.
And then
Green
Yanni.
Needle.
Yeah, Yanni and what was it?
Laurel
and Yanni. Yeah.
Laurel and Yanni. Yeah.
Yanni, Laurel. Yeah.
I was hearing Yanni.
But then you can make yourself hear the other one if you want to, right?
Yes.
I couldn't.
Yes. Actually, that happens. That's close to McGurk effect, but McGurk effect is like a cross-modal thing where like you're seeing someone speak. So as Jim said, like we have masks over us like during the pandemic period, right? So we couldn't look at people's mouth when they were speaking. So it was difficult to understand what they were saying. because we also use like visual cues to speech. So McGurk effect is just sort of exploiting that and showing that if the sounds of two vowels are like close by, and the video shows the person saying a particular vowel, like you'll hear that vowel instead of the actual vowel. So like if you play if you just hear the sound, like close your eyes, you'll only hear ba, ba, ba. But the moment you open your eyes, you'll hear fa, 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 and you'll actually hear it. It's like it's an illusion, but your brain will be like, yes, obviously this person is saying fa. It's not ba.
That makes sense on comedy because sometimes people say stuff and you're on stage and you can't see them and you hear something different.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes I think someone's talking. I'm like, is that person? And then that one. And then they say something. I'm like, I can't hear him. And then I got that word.
But we've all seen the stand-up comedians who have done the routine where you play a song and they put up what the lyrics they think is being said. And when they put them up in front of you, you hear that lyrics as well. But it's even like you play the Beatles backwards or whatever, you hear Paul is dead. But you only hear it after someone tells you it's Paul is dead, and then all of a sudden Paul is dead.
Oh, yeah. You sent the video to us of the McGurk effect.
Yeah.
McGurk. Yeah. Okay. We got all the questions?
We're all done.
Well, we got the dinner party fact. There's a part-time in the show where our expert gives us one fact, obscure, interesting, something our audience can use to impress people at a dinner party, a bar, whatever. What do you got for us, Vin?
So I already gave away one. So I had two. So one was that like everyone thinks they have a heavier voice than what they actually have.
Yeah.
So it's because we listen through our voice, through our jawbones, and not through our like ears.
Yeah, that was Kelly's question. Yeah.
And another one is the human ear is more sensitive than any microphone that we have ever made. And what I mean by sensitive in this case is like the dynamic range. Like we can listen to like the quietest of the sounds and the loudest of the sounds. So no microphone does like this range better than us, like this decibel range better than us.
Really?
So
why don't they make a microphone better? They just can't make it? It's not impossible?
Because we just don't know how exactly the ear works. That's
We're
why
really
our lab
impressive.
exists.
Yeah, we're the best. We're number one. Well, Vin, thanks for being here again. If you want to follow Vin on Twitter, it's at Vin_Agarwal, and Instagram is at Vinayak.Agarwal, and website is Vinayak-Agarwal.com. We'll put all those on so you can see them on YouTube and anywhere you listen to it. And I just followed you on Instagram. You do some of your music on there, it looks like, right?
Yes. I also do my music on YouTube. The link is through the website.
So go check out Vin's music and support him on social sites there. And I'm going to check it out since you talked about it. And I think that's about it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks
really
for being on the
interesting.
show, Vin. If you're ever at a party and someone comes up to you and says, you don't know what the McGurkin effect is.
It's McGurk.
Yeah, and then you go, I don't know about that.
You
And walk away.